Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at a brand new Pokémon V, and one of a Pokémon which, well, it's frankly always been ignored. It's Conkeldurr. Now, to be fair, this is coming in Pokemon Go, and having a Conkeldurr V in Pokemon Go is something which we probably could have been expecting. And the reason is really rather simple. Look at the booster pack. If we look at the booster pack for Pokemon Go, we can see that Conkeldurr is featured very, very heavily. And as I've told you guys a million times before, these things are not done unintentionally. They're very deliberate. If somebody's going to the effort of putting Conkeldurr onto the booster pack, then we're getting a Conkeldurr in the set. And it turns out it's a V, just like the Mewtwo on the pack, but unlike the Gyarados and the Blissey and the Eye-Bomb, which we've already seen. Now, that does of course raise a question a bunch of people are going to ask. Hey Wassy, does that mean we're getting Conkeldurr Vstar? I can't tell you definitively one way or the other, but I can tell you it is very, very, very unlikely. Because, generally speaking, when these cards get revealed, if there is a V-Star, they reveal the V-Star alongside the V. That's just generally the way things go. It's not a hard and fast rule, but yeah. It's also a card that seems to fit, generally speaking, the ones that evolve into V-Star clearly are, they're just a conduit. They're not actually what we're really getting excited about. And this one could be pretty good. And also, we haven't been told. So, some of them we're told in advance we know are coming. So, I'm not saying there isn't a V-Star. I don't believe we can say at the moment definitively that there isn't. Until we see card 41, we won't know for absolute certain. But it is at this stage overwhelmingly likely that we won't get a V-Star. And it's about time for Conkeldurr, quite frankly, because, well, it's been a while. We've only had 5 Conkeldurr in total. To be fair, we did have one in Battle Styles, but it was kind of terrible. And honestly, outside of the first one we got in Noble Victories, which was super interesting for having ridiculous HP, this has not been a Pokemon to get excited about. It's never had a chase card. Could this finally be the time? Well, the translations here, I had a bit of a go with it myself, but I should also give a massive shout out to the lovely Primal Lugia, who did translate this, noticing that it is crazy similar to a previous Conkeldurr. So, what have we got? Well, 230 HP is incredibly high, like super crazy mega high. It's big. And then we got a couple of attacks. Now, the first attack actually combos with a super crazy mega high HP really quite nicely. Okay, fine, it's not super crazy mega high, but generally V's only go up to 220. 230 is significant. For a single energy, you deal 20 damage. And if this Pokemon was damaged by an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does that much more damage. Now, the wording here is actually super important, and it's very, very, very similar to Cinderace V Max. But because it's exactly the same as Cinderace V Max, except, well, in one way it's better than Cinderace V Max, because we're talking about a single energy, but it's also 20 plus, not 30 plus, and also, having an extra 90 HP like Cinderace V Max does really open up the options here, I think it's fair to say. But my point here is that the wording here basically tells us it doesn't matter if you heal. It is not you do more damage for the damage on you, it is you do more damage for the damage that was done to you last turn. And that is a huge, huge difference. A gigantic, crazy, massive difference. And I love this. It means that you can completely heal, and then all you need to do is just put a single energy on there, and now all of a sudden you're ready to go. Because it's a single energy attack. And that's what I adore here. Now, healing isn't perfect, admittedly. It can be a little bit awkward. Stuff like Cheryl doesn't work because you're not an evolved Pokemon. But if you can have a heal, this is amazing. What I love, and we don't actually have this right now, let's be clear, but if we ever get a reprint of Max Potion, this is going to be amazing. Because you could then completely heal off with Max Potion and then deal huge damage. What this does to you basically is it says to your opponent, you'd better get a one-hit KO. Because if you don't get a one-hit KO, well, I suppose you can kind of poke, and then it gets really awkward because you're going, right, well, I need to make sure that I do enough damage to be relevant, but not enough that they can then turn it around back on me. Oh, but I might have a choice bout which will do 30 extra damage, so I've got to build that into the equation, and it ends up getting really super awkward. And that's kind of my point here, and I love this. I really, really like this attack because it makes your opponent have to really think about it. It puts them in a super awkward position. It can really, really help, and I absolutely love it. Now, is it perfect? No. Because as much as it makes your opponent think, and it absolutely does make your opponent think, this can be played around. Because your opponent can basically guarantee that you will not be doing enough damage. Like, guaranteed, you will not be doing enough damage. There's no way you can possibly do enough damage. And that's actually kind of annoying. There's not really much we can do about that, unfortunately. It's just trying to make it as awkward as you can for your opponent. Trying to make sure that you can make it work. Trying to make sure that your opponent is going to be in a situation where either they don't attack, and that's good for you, or they do attack, but by attacking, they put themselves in an awkward position, which is good for you. Hopefully, one of those two things is going to end up being true. I like this attack. As for the second attack, 1 fighting, 2 colorless energy, 90 damage. And it's exactly the same as Conkeldurr from X and Y. Flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 90 more damage, and the defending Pokemon is now confused. Okay, fine, it's not exactly the same. It's 90 plus 90, not 60 plus 40. But I really like this. Now, it really depends on the heads. The heads here is absolutely huge. Because you are hitting a great weakness. You're hitting weakness against Arceus Vstar, which is incredibly relevant. It's not quite as good as it used to be, but you're hitting weakness against Jolteon V Max. And to be fair, with Palkia coming back, that is potentially going to make Jolteon V Max a whole heap better. So, you know, watch this space for that one. And then there's stuff that's going to be coming in the future, stuff like Hisuian Zoroark. This will get that. So yeah, if you hit heads, and the if you hit heads is huge. If you hit heads is gigantic. That is the most important thing here, because if you flip tails, you do 180 and it's not enough. Now, to be fair, you can add a choice bout, and that will mean you do 120 double to 240. But you're still not getting Jolteon, and you're still not getting Arceus, and you're still not getting Hisuian Zoroark, so it doesn't really matter. You need the heads. Heads means you get a giant KO, which is brilliant. Heads also means that with a choice bout you do 210, which is enough to KO a lot of Pokemon V, but then they get confused. And when you're confused, you flip a coin when you attack. If tails, the attack fails, you take 3 damage counters, which would then put them up to 24, 240 damage if you were using Choice Bout, which means a lot of Pokemon V with 220 HP, it would be flip a coin. If heads, the attack works. If tails, you get knocked out and it's your opponent's turn. That's kind of huge, honestly. That's really, really big. So this is one to absolutely keep an eye on. Yes, the free energy cost is awkward, but we do have Gritty Pickaxe, which is, that's not actually called Gritty Pickaxe though, is it? No, they gave it a different name in English. They called it Gutsy Pickaxe. But that's the one where you look at the top card of your deck. If it is a fighting energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon, bench Pokemon. If it's not, put it into your hand. So that can absolutely work here. That could be kind of cool. We've got ways to do this, is my point. I really, really like this one. Yes, it's expensive. No one's arguing that it's not expensive. But annoying your opponent with confusion, hitting a great weakness, and if we take the first attack as just a handy bonus, and we're not relying on it, we're just going, hey, you know, this could work and be nice, then actually I like this so much more. it makes a huge difference at that stage. If you're relying on the first attack, you can run into super awkward situations where your opponent is just playing around it and there's very little you can do. If, however, you're kind of relying on the second attack, accelerating energy and all of that, but just leaving this in the active in the early game as a handy bonus, then we are rocking, ladies and gentlemen. Then we are really rocking. Because if your opponent cannot attack into it without facing a devastating attack back, they might just give you an extra turn or two, which is all you need. And it's not like your opponent's playing badly in that situation. Like I've said, there will be some situations where they don't attack because they know that attacking will give you access to an attack that they don't really want to deal with. But they cannot not attack and not give you extra time. So if they're deliberately waiting until they can do enough damage to make it worth it, well, that just might give you the extra turn or two you need to actually get this dude up and rolling. I really like this. I'm giving it 4 Wassies, and maybe it's just because I'm in a really good mood today. That's probably way too high. But we've never really had a Conkeldurr that set the world on fire, and this probably isn't it. But I think it might be the closest we've had. But I want to know what you think about it, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.